Hey everybody, this is Young Kid here, and today in this new edition of Fan Fiction Ideas, I'll take a page of Mr. Multiverse's thing, what he did recently with his Ghoul School reboot pitch, and I can present my own pitch of my own reboot idea to you guys. So, instead of actually doing like the Ghoul School idea like he did, I'm gonna do a different Hanna Barbera property that is still kind of Halloweenish and very much spooky feel, but it's more of a different property. The reason being is that I was inspired by Mr. Multiverse to make this video, as well as watching, after watching the Scooby Doo movie Scoob, which, apparently they're making a new Hanna-Barbera shared universe over at Warner Bros. Along with some other Scooby Doo stuff like Scooby Doo reviews like Return to the Zombie Island and Revenge of the 13th Ghost, which I also did watch like earlier a couple months ago. Uh, so basically, along with like all the Hanna Barbera comics, with crossovers with DC comics, like the new Flintstones comics, the new Scooby Doo Apocalypse comics, uh, you know, all that stuff. So this is my idea. So what Hanna Barbera property am I rebooting for this? Well, it's a lesser known part of the Flintstones lore. Again, Flintstones lore sounds kind of weird saying out that out loud, but okay. But yeah, if you don't know, the 60s and 70s were, well, especially the 60s were a weird time for TV because the Flintstones was the biggest primetime cartoon, if not the first big primetime cartoon on the networks. And basically, what's also on the networks around the same time period as the Flintstones first came out were both the Addams Family and the Munsters. So, basically, what did Hanna-Barbera do? Easy. Parody the hell out of them. And that's where we get my idea from. Basically, they actually created their own families, spooky Addams Family, monsters type of families, Hanna-Barbera, I mean. And basically, they create both the Gruesomes and the Frankenstones. Uh, yeah, the Gruesomes are more your Addams Family type. They're more humanoid appearance, but very ghoulish and very uh, you know, very gothic and all that stuff. And they were the first ones to appear in the original show. And yeah, they're basically their Addams Family equivalents in the Flintstones universe that kind of has more or less a spooky vibe to it. The Flintstones, it's the first ever adult, animated sitcom. So you're bound to be some parodies here. So yeah, that's the Gruesomes, and yeah, also the Frankenstones are basically the monsters. So they're a lot more monstrous. They're a lot more out there. They're more like one's Frank Frankenstein, and he's basically a caveman Frankenstein. His wife Hydia is basically like Lily monster. Like Bride Frankenstein hair, everything. And then we have at least two kids. The names of the characters tend to change a bit outside of Frank Frankenstein, mainly because they can't really keep continuity right. Because this is like the late 70s, early 80s. So 60s, 70s, 80s, they don't really have that much continuity, so a lot of names are changed. But Atrocia Frankenstone is their Wednesday, and here's the thing: depending on the version, and you know, depending on which version you go by, um, so there's a special they premiered called, uh, um, basically the Flintstones, New Neighbors. So basically, the New Neighbors special, Atrocia is this very slim, kind of curvy, kind of teenager with a cute little accent and basically, ghoulish kind of design, but still cute. She's basically Wednesday Addams, but a teenager. Uh, but in other subsequent media, she's a little kid. like actual little kid like Wednesday Addams. And then we have Freakly, originally called Stubby in the special, TV special, the New Neighbors. Uh, Basically, Stubby was this a miniature version of Frankenstone, kind of basically squat looking, and very much like actual little kid Frankenstein. But they changed that in subsequent media. Says subsequent media like basically other adaptations of this character as being the normal one of the group. Kind of look like a brunette version of Bam Bam, honestly. And he's kind of considered the odd one, kind of like the cousin from the Munsters, who's actually normal looking. But anyways, here's the basic pitch. What if we have a reboot, kind of like modern day Alan's Family or the Munsters, but with the Frankenstones and the Gruesomes. So you can actually have this as a uh, sort of a new property you can actually have Hanna-Barbera kind of do with, if they want to go with a more spooky horror route, where basically, I don't want to say horror, but like kind of like a spooky, supernatural vibe with the Flintstones. Because in case you haven't noticed, there was a recent series of the Flintstones called Yo Yabba Dabba. Not Yo. I was thinking Yo Yogi for a minute. Uh, it's called Yabba Dabba Dinosaurs. It actually just ended last year. It barely lasted a few months, and uh, um, that's the recent Flintstones reboot, and that features a tween version of Pebbles of Bam Bam as they're going to like adventures within the wilderness of around Bedrock, called the Crags, where all the wild dinosaurs hang out. All the while in the B plots, uh, Barney and Fred are actually going out and then doing like sitcom hijinks like the original series. So it was a interesting idea, but the thing is like a lot of people didn't really like it. Like either that or didn't see it. So it was canceled really early. So yeah, that's the recent Flintstones series that came and went. And I'm pretty sure Elizabeth Banks, the actress, she's playing her own like an animated series of the Flintstones, a more adult animated series like the original series of the Flintstones. She's playing her own reboot in the works that's coming out next year. So okay, Elizabeth Banks, sure, I guess. I mean, I'll see it. Sure. At least it beats the idea of like Seth MacFarlane's reboot of The Simpsons. From what I hear from Pan Pizza and Rebel Taxi, him. Uh, Basically, yeah, he. From what I could gather from Seth MacFarlane's pitch on basically the Flintstones, it would probably be more much like a K-Man American Dad, or not American Dad because American Dad is awesome, but like it'll be like a K-Man ripoff of like Family Guy. But other than that, like outside of that, outside of all that, back to the idea. Basically, my whole thing was that basically it'll work two ways. One, the Frankenstones and the Gruesomes, the two families, the two spooky families of the Flintstones. The A plot will be focusing on like uh, the kids mainly. In this version, I'll separate the like Stubby and Freakly as two characters because one looks different than the other. So literally, I'm gonna make them two different characters. Uh, so Atrocious, Stubby, and Freakly, they're I imagine like it'll be kind of like a Stone Age like Scooby Doo gang where they're like the uncool kids and the creepy goth kids, and they're like the new kids in block, and they're kind of like the unpopular kids, and of course like they're kind of like and imagine Bedrock had high school and they were just like the uncool goth kids. They're just like, okay, I guess so. Um, Basically, what I'm trying to say is they'll be off, dealing with high school stuff, and And not to mention, it's like on their spare time, they like very much like the Scooby Doo gang. Um, those three plus Gabby, the Kid Gruesome, basically goes on adventures, basically solving mysteries around the town of Bedrock. Very much like the Scooby Doo gang, and basically like it'll be funny because literally they're kind of monsters themselves, hunting and solving mysteries involving guys in costumes. So it'll be kind of funny. So yeah, they'll be kind of in a mystery solving Scooby Doo spin off sort of Scooby Doo rip off sort of A plot, while the B plot focuses on the parents, mainly the Gruesomes and the Frankenstones couples, and them dealing with, oh yeah, we had to fit into normal society. People already find us kind of weird. I mean, the Flintstones and the Rebels are great. They're fine, but all the other people in Bedrock are kind of weirded out by our appearance and all that stuff. So it's very much gonna be like an Addams Family situation where they see themselves as normal, but the rest of Bedrock will be like, holy crap, we got monsters. Mayor, I think we got a Frankenstein living with us. I was like, wait, what? Yeah, it's come on, it's Frankenstein. You mean Frankenstone? Oh yeah, forgot the rock puns. I'm just saying, like, imagine all the K people in Bedrock are like, the guy did that green guy just shoot lightning out of his head? Okay, like Bedrock is already kind of weird enough with the animals being tools, but an undead caveman, his witch wife, their freaky kids, along with the Gruesomes themselves, their green skin looking. You get the idea. I already made a video tribute to the Gruesomes and the Frankenstones, so check that out as well. But yeah, that's kind of my idea of a reboot pitch of the Frankenstones and the Gruesomes. Like, hey, if all the Flintstones, Flintstones failed attempts at Flintstones reboot didn't work, how about the Frankenstones? How about the Gruesomes? You can make a Scooby Doo Flintstones hybrid with these properties. Come on, it's sitting right there. Hell, they used to have their own segment on Flintstones cartoons in the 80s. It could work. I'm just saying, it could work. I know it sounds kind of anime right now, so yes, I actually like this idea. So, yeah. So that's kind of my fanfiction cartoon reboot pitch idea. And yeah, so, alright, this has been the Okinawa Kid, and tell me what you think in the comments below. And yeah, this has been the Okinawa Kid, and I'll see you guys later.